2, 1.
There we go. All right, we're live. Hey, everybody. So I just want to start things off, just to start off the live stream. It's great to see everybody again. The whole team is back together, and it's good to see everyone. It's nice to have the whole team together, and we've made a I guess a small but significant change to the format of the show. We're all equitable co-hosts now of the MCU's Bleeding Edge. So there's no more alpha here within the group or whatever. You know what I mean? There's just I might try to dictate the flow a little bit here and there and whatnot, and try to keep the conversation flowing. But everybody on the show now is a full-on co-host. So we're still working the whole thing out behind the scenes, but that's what we're doing now. So at this point now, it's a split, even split here between all three of us, and how that's going to end up working out long term, we're going to have to see. But again, it's good to be back. You can always rely on us on MCU's Bleeding Edge on Wednesday evenings. 9 times out of 10, we should be live around 9:05 p.m. Eastern time. Cyber, how you doing, brother? It's good to see you, man.
I'm good. I'm excited to get into this stuff. It's gonna be awesome.
I just saw that you sent me a video on Rizzle just a minute ago.
Oh, it just popped up?
Yeah, like the Guardians of the Galaxy one? Yeah.
Yeah, no, that one, I actually did that like 2 days ago.
No, the response to
oh, yeah, that was like a
my
couple
critique
hours ago, though.
Yeah, okay,
yeah,
cool.
So I did respond, but that was like a couple hours ago already, so I'm surprised it's just popped up.
That's when I saw it. Terry, how you doing, man? It's good to have you back, brother.
Good. I know it's been a couple weeks, but I'm glad we get to get back to it and talk about the Winter Soldier. It'll be it's a good episode to come back to.
It is. I mean, you guys tell me, if you could give it a ranking, like a 1 to 10 ranking, how would you rank episode 3?
I honestly would give it a good solid 9.5 out of 10. Simply for the fact the dance scene with Zemo. I'm sorry, that had me. The Zemo dance had me, and the fact that we got a lot of Zemo finally in the episode, it put me over the edge for wanting more. So I would say definitely a good solid 9.5.
That's what Cyber. I think that's fair. What do you think, Perry?
I would probably give it an 8. I thought it was a really good episode. It had a lot of action, I think this was the most packed episode with things to move this series a little bit faster. I feel like the first 2 episodes were a lot of where have they been? What have they been doing? Kind of stuff, and kind of getting you back into these characters' lives a little bit. And then this one is finally taking a hold that they're working together and they've got a plan, where the other 2 episodes were them figuring out what was going on and trying to team up, So I really enjoyed it. And like Cyber said, it's the first episode that it's the first time really that we've gotten the real Zemo, not just a side villain in Civil War, but it's the first time that we've gotten actual Zemo, actual Baron Zemo.
Yeah. And without Zemo and without Sharon Carter, they never would have had a plan like that. It never would have borne fruition. Zemo really connected the team, the squad between Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I thought, he really rounded out the group. Even though I think he kind of looks at disdain when it comes. I don't think he's very. I don't think he's very happy, too pleased to be working with Falcon, honestly, because he associates Falcon with the Avengers and everything and whatnot.
But
I think he feels like there's a unique bond between Zemo and Bucky. There is.
Yeah,
definitely.
It's an interesting. It's an interesting dynamic, and especially when Bucky walks up to the cell that Zemo's in, and he starts saying the command words again to get him. Maybe Zemo knows that he can't control him anymore, but he just wants to mess with him a little bit and see how he reacts. And And I think that's like an important like thing, even though it can be kind of played off as like, oh, Zemo's just like messing with him, but like Zemo plays the mind games, and then later when he makes him kind of go Winter Soldier on everybody, you can see the smirk when he like does it, so he wants him to be like that, like he's trying to like manipulate him even now, after
I think he likes to play.
5 years or so.
I think he likes to be mischievous, kind of like Loki in a way, but different. You know what I mean? I think you sense with him that he really kind of likes to stir things up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think he gets it. I think he's very intelligent. Like, he's highly intelligent. Did you see what he was reading? He was reading like Machiavelli and stuff like that, like really deep, like old, like material, philosophy and stuff like that. Then later on in the other book he was reading, when he had Bucky's little notebook, was a book about like relationships, erotic relationships between men and women. It was in German or whatever, and then that's what it translated to. But anyways, just to kind of, I guess, based off the question I asked you about the, how you rate the episode. What did you say, Perry? What was your number?
8.
8. Okay. Geez, you know what? You must have like a really high. Are you assuming? Do you have like a really high? Do you have a lot of expectations for like the next episode?
I guess I'm leaving myself room for secondary like critical thinking when it comes to it. So like it I guess I'm just kind of like, I really enjoyed it, but with shows I feel like it's really tough to like rate each episode on their own, especially when it's like a 6-episode season, because it's like each one plays a role. It's not like they're singular episodes like telling a story. Like this is telling one big story over 6 episodes. So the way I usually go about it is trying to like take it out of context and say, if I was just watching this episode out of context, didn't know anything about anything, and I was just watching it, like what would I think of that episode of that show, kind of thing. So I think it did a lot of cool things, and that's why it's at an 8. I would say the only reason it's not a 9 or a 10 or whatever is just because it still feels like they're holding some things back a little bit, and that's kind of where I'm at. I'm kind of hoping that the last 3 start fleshing out the things that I hope they do, and then that's where you'll see like if they kind of start doing that, then you'll get my 9s and 9.5s and stuff.
Cyber, how do you think they're doing with time? Like, we got 3 episodes left, right? We're halfway through the show. Do you feel like is it similar to WandaVision, where we kind of had a conversation back then, where like, how are they going to fit all this in the time that's left? How do you feel about the timing, like, with the series? Like, do you feel like it's going to be rushed at the end, or like, do you feel like the balance is going pretty good, or?
Honestly, just like Perry was saying, they're kind of feel like they're holding stuff back a little bit. So if they end up putting everything that has been theorized over the last, several months before it even started, and they actually go the path that a lot of people are thinking they're going, I mean, those 3 episodes are going to be have to be almost an hour long each to really get all the information out there. The first 3 episodes, most definitely, like the first 2 really were like how Perry was saying, they're a little slower than the 3rd episode. So versus the 3rd episode, those 2 kind of interlock to get you kind of reacquainted with, Sam and Bucky and kind of what they're doing in society now. Whereas this 3rd episode was a lot more about, getting on with the story. So they did a good job, I feel, with episode 3, getting kind of the story going. Versus the first 2, they kind of were slacking, I feel, a little bit. So now that we're going to be going to episode 4, I feel that probably episode 4, maybe even 5, might be a little pushed to get enough information into each of those 2 episodes to finally give us that final conclusion. So yes, most definitely, it's not flowing like how WandaVision did. Not at all. I feel this is definitely flowing better than WandaVision was. But who knows? You know how Marvel is. What they like to do is to keep us, under lock and key until the very bitter end. So who knows how they'll do it? But eventually, I feel that as they get more used to doing TV series, we're going to see a better flow as they go along.
I think that's a good point. I think one point that I want to make is that I'm kind of glad now, looking back, Perry, that we didn't get into too deeply into all those spoilers and everything and all those plot synopses that was out there. Because honestly, to be realistic, none of that stuff came true, really, any of it. Like a lot of the rumors that I heard about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier on YouTube and stuff like that in the last couple of months, a lot of that stuff is not born fruition at this point. Like, for one thing, Bucky and Sam were supposed to bump into Omega Red and Batroc the Leaper or whatever in Madripoor at a bar or something like that. And there was supposed to be a battle scene there or whatever. Well, they already went to Madripoor. Do you really think they're going to go back?
Right.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think there's not enough time because with like what Cyber was saying, it feels like, and I agree with what he's saying, that there's so much that, like Jeff, that we talked about on that episode that it just time-wise with the last 3 episodes, there can't be enough time, it just feels like they're going to have to pack a lot into the next couple episodes because I feel like the first 3 episodes could have been put into like 2 episodes and it could have been faster paced. Maybe not totally, or maybe they could have done like the first 2 episodes were an hour and 15 minutes or something like that and like shaved off some of that extra excess. Another thing that like I heard was that there's been like they had to tweak the story a bit.
Yeah. The whole COVID-19 or the whole CCP virus aspect to it, they were going to have something like that kind of feature with the program. Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah. So that could be another reason why it feels like it's not necessarily totally like, because something does, like for me at least, something does feel a little like it doesn't feel entirely linear, like with what's going on. Like it does feel like something's missing.
I think just story itself was not even.
Yeah, I think the story, it feels like something is missing from what they're trying to do. Like something little. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like it's like I don't know what it's building up to. It just feels like
okay, yeah, where the series is going, like the sweet spot, like
right,
isn't it? Because
like where they're.
Oh, I don't mean to cut you off, but I just want to point this out, and then I'd love to hear you guys both tell me what you think. I really love the way they're handling John Walker and everything, like in the series and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Even though they only gave him a little bit of time in episode 3, I love how they're using him and everything. Mm-hmm. I feel like they're really making they're making good use of him. When he is on camera, he is like a dominating figure on camera, like he is, like, but not like Cap, not like Steve Rogers, Captain America. Totally different vibe.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think we really saw that in episode 3 for the first time. Although I got to be honest,
and we saw that
in my face, I probably would punch him too. I'm just being realistic.
Yeah.
Tell me, Perry, if somebody spit right in your face like that, would you not punch him back?
I think if I wasn't Captain America, then I definitely would do something about it. But if I'm Captain America, you have a certain like expectation of how your like attitude is, So like if he starts just punching anybody he wants to punch just because they disrespect him or they're like not a friend of the United States, then he's not the hero and the person that like people expect out of them, So
yeah.
I think it's an interesting.
Perry, did you think?
Because now we're seeing like.
Go ahead, Perry. I'm sorry.
What?
I was
Oh,
gonna
because
say,
all I was gonna say was that with like fake Cap, I guess I should say, John Walker, Captain America, uh, we're starting to see those cracks in his character where he is a bit of like he's not Captain America, he's not Steve Rogers, um, and he's starting to like break into that person that we see in the comics. So um, I really hope they keep building upon that because right now, like I said before, it just feels like something's like they're like holding too much back a little bit to where the story just feels like
good point.
it's either gonna really kick up in 4, 5, and 6, and they're gonna have to, or it's gonna end a little dry and lead too much into a next season or whatever they're planning on doing with these characters after um whether Sam becomes like Captain America and they start the show like they start a different show called Captain America and the Winter Soldier or whatever. But it just feels like stuff is happening a little too slowly. Like they don't even have the shield yet, which is something that I thought about where it's like
They might not get it to the
that's
last episode.
Hmm.
yeah, and it's just like one of those things where I think I'm thinking too much about it where I just need to watch it play out and then see
No,
how everything came together,
you made a direct connection to what Cyber said. You basically, in different words, you kind of like seconded what Cyber said about the pace of the series.
Right.
Not, you know what I mean? And at that point, I think you did a good job of explaining it in more detail. Just the fact that, and Cyber, I'll kick to you right now in just a minute. In terms of the fact that now that you guys mention it, I do really feel like there is definitely a level of probably it's probably somewhat widespread, a level of like, okay, the show should have gone farther by at this point. You know what I mean? Like we should have seen more,
Right.
more characters. There should have been, you know what I mean? Like more should have happened. Like Sharon Carter should have popped up sooner. You know what I mean? Like not, you know, I mean, she was great. She was the highlight of the episode, other than Zemo.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Cyber.
But she kicked butt in that episode.
Oh, I know, for real, right?
Especially when she took out all those guys when
Yeah.
they're in the hidden lab. That was like kick
Mhm.
ass. I mean, I was like this is the Sharon card I've been waiting for in the series. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
And they're being
back
very
to-
violent too. They're being very violent. They're killing people and stuff like that. Like and like really hurting people. Like it's not, they're not being too soft when it comes to that stuff.
no.
Mm-hmm.
They actually are like beating up people. You know, they're not being like the PC like they have been in the past. They definitely are actually kicking butt this time, more like in the comic books, I feel. Definitely with this series, and even WandaVision, I feel was even more considered more like the comic books. You know, where if you were reading the Punisher comic books or the Ghost Rider comic books, like we've talked about this before, they are not PG type of comic books.
No, they're
And
almost
most of
like
the
graphic
comic
novels.
books are not. They
Yeah.
are the action in them is very coarse. So I mean, the fact that they're even going this way with these TV series, I feel is a good direction for the MCU.
That's a good point, Cyber. And why? And what is it about that style? Do you feel like it just adds like a little bit more like balls, or like a little bit more darkness? Maybe, you know what I mean? Like a tougher like look to like the way the show looks. I mean,
I feel that it just makes it more conclusive with the comic books.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
more-
it
yeah.
gives you more. Like if you are not a huge comic fan, you only know the MCU, and because of the MCU, it gets you interested in comic books. You go to read the comic books, and all of a sudden you're like, "This is so different than what I've been watching." When they start to bring in what is actually in the comic books, like that type of style with the more action, basically, it allows the people to be more, coexisting with the comics and the movies so that they become more attached to it, so that they want to read the comic books, that they want to see the connection. And that's how I feel that they're trying to go with these TV series because, before this, I mean, yes, there was action going on in the movies and all that kind of good stuff. But it was very PG-like. It wasn't graphic. Like, I mean, the most graphic we got is when Coulson got killed in Avengers. you know. So that fact that they starting to really kind of ease back on that, I like that direction that they're going in, and I feel the Falcon and the Winter Soldier is really proving that, especially with Zemo killing the people he has in episode 3 that we've seen. That right there shows me that they're starting to really get into the actual comic book lore.
And they didn't seem pissed at Zemo either when they jumped in the car and everything and whatnot. Like, nobody seemed to really mind that he shot Nagel.
Mm-hmm.
Most definitely.
Yeah, they played it off like they were just I think they were more pissed off that they couldn't get more information now rather than that he just like killed him. And I think they're taking that seriously when it comes to like making this feel like a action thriller, like the spy thriller is what they kept saying prior to the show's release about like what the show would feel like as a spy thriller. And that's what it feels like. It does. It feels like a James Bond movie where it's like he shoots people shoot them, like it's like that's just the reality of the nature of it. Yeah,
it's authentic. So, you would expect Bucky to kill some people. Like, I mean, like when I don't want to get too far into the episode without kind of like going over the beginning of it and the middle of it, but that fight scene where he has to pretend he's being activated as Winter Soldier again, that was that scene itself, that could easily have been the highlight of the show. Like, that was awesome. He beat up like 10 guys during that whole thing.
Yeah. Yep. And he kicked some ass doing it.
Oh yeah, I mean it was brutal. They still haven't shown us what the arm can do, but like that arm is no joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that scene compared to the scene in episode 2 when he's fighting the other super soldiers on top of the trucks. That's how it should have been for that scene, because like how they had it play out where like him and Falcon were kind of like losing and kind of like weaker kind of cracked me up, because I'm like, that arm alone is going to be more stronger than any of those guys are going to be. It's made out of vibranium to begin with, and Bucky is a killing machine. So I don't know if because of kind of how they played it out in the first 2 episodes, him kind of dealing with being normal instead of being the Winter Soldier. I don't know if that played an effect, like his mind or whatever. But I feel like by this 3rd episode, I feel like that finally is going away and he's coming back to who he was, but with his sanity intact.
Oh, that's a great point. I think Bucky's an intelligent guy. He knows when to pick his spots.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think, Perry? Like, I mean, honestly, I honestly think that they were just outnumbered in that fight scene on top of the trailer truck. They were outnumbered and they were being grabbed and held and everything by like the super soldier serum type flag smashers who are extremely strong. Like, look, you're right. Bucky could have done better considering the fact that he does have the super soldier serum. And plus, there's got to be other stuff that his arm does we just don't know about yet. Like, I don't believe that Shuri would have made him an arm and not given him, some kind of like, knives that come out of it or something, or like, something, you know what I mean? Or, the kind of stuff that his old arm did. So, no, I feel like that's a good point, Cyber. It really is, because they basically didn't they accomplished nothing fighting them, really. Like, John Walker did more damage when he got on the truck than anybody did.
Yeah, he supposedly doesn't have any super soldier serum in him, so
he doesn't.
Tell me how that works.
I don't think he has it yet. I don't even think. You know what? I think they really all the rumors ended up. A lot of the rumors ended up not being true, because he might not even get the super soldier serum.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I really hope he does.
Oh, I mean, Perry, I'll let you jump in, but I mean, we still haven't seen Thunderbolt Ross. I was expecting to see him by now, and obviously we got to talk about who the power broker is. Me and Perry talked the other day that maybe it could be Sharon Carter. Now that I watched the episode again, Zemo specifically says it's a he. You know what I mean? Like, at that point,
yeah. I was thinking that could be kind of like a mislead for the audience. Like, everybody thinks it's a he, and maybe the face of it is a he, as like a because like they did the same thing with the Mandarin with Iron Man 3, you know, they had a fake face of the like organization, like the 10 Rings, and then it ended up being the other guy. So there's that like notion that it could be like there could be a fake face of like the power broker and who the general public believes he is, kind of thing, and then somebody actually running it from behind to keep themselves safe, you know.
Do you
Yeah,
really
it's
think
very
that,
possible.
do you, I mean, my feeling now that I've watched the episode 3 times is that I don't think Sharon Carter is the power broker. I don't think she is. I think she's just I think she's a street hustler.
Yeah, I think she has a connection in some way. Maybe it's not major, but I feel like her character arc is gonna become complicated because she owes the power broker something, or you know, like that's where her issues, like when she mentioned we have a problem or we have a few problems, you know, she said to her either assistant or driver, whoever it was, she mentions that. And usually, I guess historically with movies, when a character says that, they're usually mixed in, you know, like they usually have like a complicated relationship with whoever the main characters are going after. So story structure and character structure, I guess, is pointing to the direction that she is connected to the power broker, whether it's a major or minor relationship, like whatever it is, or maybe she just owes him something and now this is going to make it more complicated or whatever it is. But I think it would add that to that.
Yeah, I was referencing you talking about Sharon Carter and the power broker stuff. Made me think about we were talking about earlier. Now I'm totally drawing a blank, of course, as soon as I start talking about. But anyways, we were talking about. Oh, that's right. Okay, so how we were talking about earlier that we haven't seen Omega Red yet, and why would they have to come back to the fictional city? Well, there you just answered kind of your own question. If they have to go back to get Sharon Carter, or if they have to go back to Madripoor for some odd reason to deal with the power broker, there could be your opportunity of all of a sudden that scene of Omega Red popping up.
That's a good point.
I don't foresee them. I feel because with Zemo's plane that they're in, I feel that there is a good chance they're going to end up back in Madripoor again at some point in the next 3 episodes. So I think the Omega Red scene still could be out there.
No, that's a good point. You're right. I mean, there's a possibility. You know, who knows what going to end up happening? I'd have to imagine that probably by the next episode they're going to tell us who the power broker is. Like, that's my take. I would think it would be the next episode would be that episode. And going back to kind of something you guys touched on earlier, you know, the pacing of the show and everything. You know, honestly, Perry, off the top of my head, I kind of agree with you and Cyber in that, like, they almost are going to have like 55-minute episodes, the next 3 episodes, because it almost feels like there's still so much story left to like be played out. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
I'm almost kind of wondering if they're going to like all of a sudden flip the script on us and give us like a vision of the next episode or the 5th episode where we see it from a different perspective. You know what I mean? Like they did with WandaVision, you know, but like on a minimal scale, like maybe like just a part of the episode they do it like that. But I think they might start doing that with like some of the Flag Smashers. You know what I mean? Like because they clearly want to play. They want to use that. I like that Carly character. I do. I'd have to look up her actual name really quick, but I think she's
Carly
cute.
Morgenthau.
Yeah, Carly Morgenthau. I like her hair. Is she is she mixed? Do you think?
I think when I looked her up, she's black and white. I think.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
A mixture of the two. I think, if I remember correctly, what I read, she's part black and part white.
Erin Kellyman, that's her name. She's really pretty, and she's really cool in the show too. It's so cool to see a chick with the super soldier serum. Like that's the first time we got to see it, really. You know what I mean? Like until What If comes, and we get to see we get to see Peggy Carter get the super soldier serum and become Captain America. Or she won't be Captain America; she'll be Captain Britain or whatever at that point. That's Perry. You missed out on that, man. Me and Cyber already started a miniseries covering the rest of the Disney Plus MCU Phase 4 series.
Oh yeah.
We haven't gotten that far.
Yeah.
Just one episode. Just one
Yeah.
episode.
There's a lot of talking. There's a lot to talk about. But, so, as far as the episode goes, you know, I real quick, you know what? Why don't I go ahead and take the advantage for a minute, and I'll play the promos for the episode just to kind of jog the memory a little bit. They're short. They're only like a minute long. But I downloaded them all really quick, so I'll go ahead and throw them up real quick.
The danger with superheroes. They become icons. Wars are fought. Movements are formed.
People need something to get behind, and we're going to do it our own way.
She will escalate and will not stop.
The only power I have is that I believe we can do better.
Why didn't you use the metal arm?
Right-handed.
Exclusively on Disney Plus.
It feels like it belongs to someone else.
That shield represents a lot of things to a lot of people.
Good talk.
She will escalate and will not stop.
The only power I have is that I believe we can do better.
We look damn good, though.
Exclusively on Disney Plus.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
All right, there we go.
I feel like we should have ad-libbed at the end there, like, and check this site out too.
They did. I mean, they did give us a couple. They did give us some clips from the episode that I thought were pretty, like, you know, like interesting, like important to this fabric of the story and everything of the episode. You know, that scene I really liked.
Sam throwing the shield was one of them. That one was cool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. Yeah, it'll be nice when they finally let us actually get to see all that. You know what I mean? Like, they've been showing us that stuff for a minute now. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I've told Perry and Cyber this. I feel like I don't feel comfortable with anybody being Captain America but Sam. That's it. Like there's nobody else. That's why when I see John Walker, I like John Walker's character so far. I don't dislike him because I like anti-heroes. I do. And I don't mind like aggressive kind of like, you know, brutal tactics and stuff like that. I think they're a part of life, unfortunately. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're just like Zemo said, it's a means to an end. You know, like sometimes you've got to be violent and sometimes you've got to be sadistic to get your point across. You know, or like, you know, or to leave a certain impact on somebody in a situation. You know, like that's just how that's literally reality. And that's where like the Punisher comes in and Ghost Rider or people like that, you know, like Morbius. Like they either like almost kill or kill people. Like, you know, and not only do they kill people, but like Ghost Rider like actually like, you know, eviscerates people, like, you know what I mean? Like with his chains and stuff like that. And he gives people the Penistera and makes them have to like see all the most horrible things they've ever done in their lives over and over and over again and shit. It still hasn't been played out like very well on film. I'm looking forward to seeing it, but basically, yeah. I felt like the fight scenes have been great. I really enjoyed them. But what do you guys think about the whole like Flag Smashers angle? do you think that they're like that they're going to be the big villain of the show, or do you think we still haven't seen like really who the big villain is?
Yeah,
I think
I don't know. I'm
honestly,
like,
they're kind of like the show. They're kind of like that mask in front of what is really the big baddie. I think that we're gonna find out who's actually really behind their project or their goal end, and they're actually gonna be the main villain. And kind of like how we've seen in other movies and so forth in the MCU. Like I think a good example, it kind of like is how Thanos was in the background the whole time, kind of being the puppeteer like he was, and he using Loki and Avengers and using the other people to really try to get his goals for that first the first three phases. And I feel that's kind of the same thing that's going on with between the Flagstaffers, the Power Broker, and who knows if like we said, we don't know what happened to Thunderbolt, if we're gonna see him or not, but he could play into that part too as well.
It definitely seems, yeah. it yeah, it definitely seems like we just haven't seen anything really of them. Like we've just gotten like 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. They fought them once. They keep getting mentioned and they keep getting like people are paying attention to them, but we haven't really seen them do anything. Like they haven't really done anything that makes us go, oh, they're the big bads, So that's another thing that I'm like, at some point, I hopefully in the next episode, they like kind of nudge us to who the big bad is so that we have a more understanding of like what's going on, because this is because right now I kind of feel like it's like with WandaVision, it was a fun, we don't know what's going on. But like right now, I just feel like we don't know what's going on, and it just feels like it's not coming together on their part. It doesn't seem like it's a planned or a really well planned like mystery of what's going on. They're just dropping hints instead of like showcasing it. They're kind of just, hey, here's some maybe villains, and it's like, okay, well, who's the actual villain? Like where are we going with this? We have the Power Broker, we have the Flag Smashers, we have Zemo, Thunderbolt Ross might be in there somewhere. Like we've got too many like maybes going on, and it's like, they're kind of showcasing all of them. They even had like the last episode, I believe, was called The Power Broker.
It was.
But nothing really happened with the Power Broker. He just kept getting mentioned again. And it's like, okay, well, you can't name the episode Power Broker if we're just going to keep whispering about him,
You disappeared again, Jack.
So.
No, I hear you, Perry.
I don't know. It's just, yeah, it's just kind of like,
two guys. And
I'm really enjoying the show. Yeah. Yeah, I'm enjoying the show, but I do feel like it's like, I feel like this next episode is really going to be like whether or not I'm going to be looking back at it and being like, yeah, it was fine, or I'm going to look back and being like, oh, they really did a good job like building up to this, because that's what it feels like. It just doesn't feel like anything is building up. It just feels like it's building up to like showcase other characters, but there's no story build up, and I don't know, like, because it's going to go in 100 different directions.
I was hearing things that the Falcon and Winter Soldier was going to be different than WandaVision. They purposely were saying that with Falcon and Winter Soldier that it was going to be very straightforward what was going on. And that was like kind of the key so that there wouldn't be those big buildups like with WandaVision was. So everything you're seeing in an episode, they're saying is that's straightforward. That's what the story said, and that's what the story's doing. So the fact that like how this episode ends with them going off to another place was kind of its way of telling you, okay, this is what the next episode is going to take. tell. Kind of pretty much how each episode is kind of ended is supposedly supposed to be that link to the next episode. So that's how they're saying is like the straightforwardness of the episodes and of the story for the Falcon and Winter Soldier, which I get it. I get, how, the buildup usually does kind of happen usually in most shows. But for some reason, this one does not do that. And I think they're trying something different, and that's why they're going that route. I don't know if it's a good thing. I don't feel it's a bad thing, but at the same time, I can see that when it doesn't do that, a little bit of that build up to kind of get you psyched, I can see how that can kind of downplay things.
Most definitely. I agree. Go ahead, Perry.
Yeah, that's just where I'm at right now with it. Obviously, like I'm giving them a lot of like. Obviously, I don't think that this is going to be like the end of it, and I don't think that they're not going to figure it. Like, it's not going to be bad. Like, I don't think it's going to leave it on nothing for the next 3 episodes. I don't think it's going to be like that. So the way that I'm viewing it is that, all right, so now next week I'll have to see how it kind of starts playing out, because we're in like a show. If you think about it, in like a season, that was the mid-season finale. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's what the mid-season finale was. And we didn't really learn much besides stuff we already kind of figured, So it's just one of those things where I'm hoping that like with the next episode, it'll be, it'll start doing that like build up that we're talking about, where we feel like it's picking up pace to get to that, like that finale, because right now it just feels like there's still like the characters still don't know what's going on. It just feels like they still don't know what's going on. And we don't have any hint of like anybody else's plans, which is fine if it plays out in the way that works at the end. And you can watch all 6 episodes and you're like, okay, all right. But when it's a week apart and you don't feel like it's like every episode is building necessarily, it makes each episode like you can only talk about it so much, especially when it's a more straightforward show like this one. With WandaVision, you could talk about it for a week and you still haven't hit everything, but with this one, it, like you said, it's straightforward. It's
limited.
More of a classic Marvel thing. Yeah.
There's not as much. It's not as if there's not as much intrinsic and detailed, conversation to have like with WandaVision, where there were so many different moving parts and like there was so much suspense with every character that wasn't every character in the show. There was a suspense there, like what's going to happen next with that character. What are they going to do next? What are they going to say next? Like they did a good. I mean, I can't wait to go back and do a WandaVision like post review when we all get a chance to go back and watch it again, and because I'm definitely going to do that and talk about it again, because it'll be a lot of fun. I think people will enjoy it. But honestly, I mean, what do you think? Like, you almost have to believe that you got to be 90% sure, pretty much, that they're going to pack the next episode with a lot, like a lot of story, a lot's going to come together, because, like you said, I think part of it, Perry, is the fact that all of us, even the ones that are sophisticated fans, we have expectations for the MCU and for Marvel content to be a certain way. When things don't just connect the way they usually do, it does kind of make us feel a little bit awkward. Like, it's different. We're used to like the interconnectedness being right there. At this point, I really have a feeling that unless like I'm totally missing something and they change the game on us or something, I think we're going to see a lot of John Walker in episode 4. And I think we're going to see Isaiah Bradley again. And I think that Rhodey might even pop up. It might be his turn, his time to pop up back in the series. I don't believe he's done. That they just used him for that one episode, and that's all.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking. It's got to be a packed episode where they start connecting like the different storylines, because it does feel like everything's very separate, even though everybody's had an interaction with each other. It still feels like everybody's kind of like out doing their own thing, and there's not this central thing pulling them all together besides like the super soldier serum. But the super soldier serum is kind of still like, it's just a thing, you know. It's not they're trying to find, like, they found who made it, they know who had it first, and it's kind of like, okay, well, if the power broker doesn't have them, the flag smashers have them, but we haven't seen anything of flag smashers, so how dangerous are they actually going to be for this show if they've got all the super soldier serum and we haven't seen much of them, you know? So that's what I'm thinking. It's going to be, I think I'm trying not to be too critical of it because it was one episode of a 6, like, you know, it's only episode 3, so I'm trying to like I think that the last 3 episodes are going to be like fine. Like they're going to do what they have to do to tell the story. Like I mean, they've had more than enough time to like make sure that it would. So, I don't really think it's going to like fall on its face, but just as like where we're at now, that's kind of how I feel about it, you know?
Well, Cyber, don't you think that's kind of interesting that we're at that point? I mean, that the conversation has led to that level, because going into this, my whole feeling towards episode 3 was like a 10. Yep. For me, like I thought it was a 10. I thought it was the best episode yet out of the 3. You know, just how it came together pretty well. Like you're right, Harry. From like a standpoint of like the whole crime thriller, like, you know, or like, you know, Mission Impossible type vibe, I'd love to see more of that going on, like more like, you know, second and third level activity happening, you know what I mean? And more characters and stuff like that. But at the same time, as an episode, it was long. It was like 53 minutes, I think, total, and with the credits. And you know, and I want to make a point. I like the music with the credits. And you guys like that music?
Yeah,
I do.
And the credits are pretty cool too. They're not bad.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, I mean, I really feel like it's interesting that we're at this point where, even though it was such a great episode, it was so well put together, we still feel like we're lacking a little bit here as far as like the cohesion of the show.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's funny how it really is. This whole Disney Plus Marvel, you know, produced these series are really interesting to like cover and try to speculate and theorize. It's very hard.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird thing because it's we're very used to I think WandaVision was more like a movie every episode where you felt like something happened at the end that you were like, oh, okay, like what's gonna happen next? But with this one, it definitely feels like it's a slow burn, you know, when we're used to these action ones being like, okay, it's 2 hours and you get the beginning, middle, and end, you know, like the story is complete with the movies. And now they're breaking it up into a 6 or 7 hour like story instead of the 2 hour movie or the 2 hour story. And we're starting to see why like they're definitely gonna have to like see how that works for them moving forward with the shows and stuff too, especially with the straightforward shows. WandaVision, it worked perfectly because there was, like we said before, it like you could do a lot of crazy shit on that and have people talking and going, oh my God, like what just happened, you know? But with this one, there's a lot less of that, like, oh my God, what just happened? You know, it's a little more like we have a beginning and end, and if you don't have enough middle, it can feel like a little stretched out and things don't happen as quickly, and the revelations that happen during the episode, the audience is already like in front of it, you know? And if the audience is in front of it too much, then when the reveal happens, you're like, okay, like that's good. We know that for sure now. All right, but like what's the next thing? Like what's a big reveal that can happen to keep us like wanting to like keep us on the edge of our seats for the next episode? And I feel like this show just isn't doing that yet. I feel like the last 3 episodes are going to be more like at the end of the episode, you're going to be sitting on the edge of your seat, just waiting for the next one. But the first 3 have been kind of lacking that shock ending or that like what's going to happen next, you know? But yeah, it's episode 3, so I'm I keep going on about it, but I'm trying not to be.
It's a good
I
point.
don't want
It's
I don't
a
want
good
people to
point.
think I'm like hating on it because I think it was a lot of fun. Like I'm having a lot of fun with the episodes, but just like if I'm trying to be critical, then I'm going to be critical.
Well, that's a bit different from series to series. It's going to be different. Look at Loki. Did you guys
Right.
see the new Loki trailer?
Oh, it looks awesome. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what do you think, Cyber? Like, I thought it looked. I mean, the visuals were crazy.
Oh yeah, I mean, it looks like it's gonna be a blast of a show. It looks like it's gonna be your classic Loki that we really have come to love and know. You can definitely tell that this Loki, because he didn't experience Ragnarok yet, you can tell that it's still that pre-existing Ragnarok Loki. You can tell that he hasn't had all the epiphanies he's had with Thor as the original Loki did. So it's nice to see that Loki again. So it'll be interesting to see how he kind of grows, and kind of what, because they give you the example that because of what he did by taking the Space Stone
That's right.
at the end of an Endgame, and he basically fractured time, which is what the Sorcerer Supreme said in Endgame as well, that could happen if one of the stones was not properly placed. And so in that, with Owen Wilson being part of the Time Bureau, we get all those amazing visuals, like you said, that it's just going to be a spectacular, scene. It's just going to be a really fun show. I have a feeling that it's going to be really good. I'm looking forward to seeing just all what they do with the whole time splitting thing and see where that leads. That's the one thing I'm really excited for, to see if that changes anything. And who knows, maybe some people that are supposedly dead might end up coming back. We don't know. So it'll be interesting to see what Marvel ends up doing with that.
Yeah, I like Owen Wilson's character. He's a great addition. I'm really glad they brought him in.
Wow. Loki. Wow. Yeah.
For real. Yeah, and they're a good pairing. The two of them together have the dialogue. They're a good pairing, because he's very sarcastic, which is a great attitude to have with Loki because he's so full of himself. You know what I mean? So it's a good mix. And with the part that, I mean, really, Tom Hiddleston is just brilliant as Loki. He really is. He's brilliant. And I'm so glad they brought him back and they're doing this. I'm so glad they're doing a season 2 already. I've talked to Perry and Cyber personally about this whole Falcon and the Winter Soldier series. I don't think there's going to be a season 2. That's just my take personally. There could be one. Should there be one? Probably there should be one. But I have a feeling that they're not going to do another season. I think they're going to do something different with the characters.
Yeah, the one thing that I see that they might do is start the next like a new season or a new thing with Sam Wilson as Captain America, and they call it Captain America and the Winter Soldier or something. Or
it would be successful.
Yeah, or they do a movie with the two and they call it Captain America and the Winter Soldier, not Captain America Winter Soldier. Something like changing it up just enough, where it's like a buddy cop movie kind of thing. But yeah, the Loki trailer looks a lot looks like it's going to be another it's going to be a mix between like what we're seeing now with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and like WandaVision, where it's going to have like the wackiness and kind of like the weirdness that WandaVision explored, and then it's going to be like the action and like the dialogue and the comedy and the buddy back and forth that we get with the Falcon and Winter Soldier. It's going to have that like mix of it, so it's going to be like the happy medium. And I think Owen Wilson gets a bad rap. He's not known for being like a great actor in that regard, but I like him. I think he's great. Yeah,
he's had some good roles. He really has.
Yeah. So I think it'll be a lot of fun. I'm excited for that one. And that one comes out in a month and a half or so.
Is it that far?
I think so.
I want to say, Cyber, when does Loki come out?
June 11th.
June 11th. Okay.
Yeah. So like 2 months.
Wow. All right. So, oh well, I forgot. What if comes after this show? I forgot about that, doesn't it? Or is it Loki?
It's
I'm pretty
Loki's
sure-
next.
Yeah, Loki
Yeah.
is next.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
what if
we've got 3 weeks left then of this show. That means that they're going to give us a whole month and a half off without any Disney Plus.
Well,
That's-
well the new Star Wars animated show, The Bad Batch, is coming out on Disney Plus. So they're not going to run a Marvel and Star Wars show probably at the same time, because they own both properties, so they won't take viewership away from one or the other, really, or attention, I guess, is more important for them, like attention from one or the other. So they'll probably go ahead, Cyber. Yeah.
Yeah, which makes no sense to me because the Bad Batch is supposed to start on May 24th. Loki starts June 11th. So
It's May the 4th. May the 4th.
Oh, May the 4th. Oh, okay, May the 4th then.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because Star Wars.
May the 4th be with you.
So let's say it's 6 episodes long, I think is what they said it was supposed to be. So that's what that should take us to Loki then. June 11th.
Yeah. I think with the animated show, I can't remember exactly how many episodes they said. With the animated shows, it might just be they usually do like more. They usually do closer to like 10 or 12, but with the way that they're setting up their shows, they're probably going to do like a more limited episodes with even the animated shows, just because they're probably going to end up going Marvel, Star Wars, Marvel, Star Wars, Marvel, Star Wars, Marvel, Star Wars, but
Perry, I never got a chance to ask you. Did you get to see Snyder Cut yet, Perry?
The Snyder Cut, yeah, I did.
You did? Cyber, you saw it already. I know. We talked about it. I still haven't seen it
twice now.
I still haven't seen it. I've been watching Naruto. Like I've been banging out like a season and a half of Naruto every day for like the last 4 or 5 days. So I've been feeling very well. This is the best I felt in the last like week, basically, like tonight, which is great. I'm glad that my energy came back. But I've still got to watch it. What did you think, Perry? What was your take on it?
I think it was 130% better than what we got in 2017. I don't think it was necessarily a fantastic film, but the 4 hours did not feel like 4 hours for me. I felt like the characters were a little bit better built, especially like the and even Wonder Woman's like scenes, like in the beginning where she fights off those terrorists and stuff. Like everybody got more screen time and a little more attention, and for me it just felt like you could tell what happened with the Whedon cut, like what happened with the Justice League, and that Snyder definitely had a vision. Whether or not it would have been 4 hours is probably not realistic. It wasn't going to be 4 hours in the theater. He probably would have had to cut it down to like what Endgame was like at 3 hours or something.
He actually said that originally his cut was 3.5 hours when he was going to release it in 2017 when it was all his vision. That's originally what it was supposed to be.
And I would have had just as much fun watching that in theaters, and but I thought it was just a better movie. Like it just felt better. Like you actually got to see where the movie was heading. Like with the Whedon cut, it just felt like everything was like thrown together like on a wall, and they were like, okay, this can connect here. Well, it doesn't really make sense, but we can just do that,
I haven't seen
and
it.
It just felt rushed.
I haven't. I almost want to. I bought it and I haven't watched it yet. I almost want to watch it just so I can see the comparison when I watch the Snyder cut.
Yeah,
there's something about the way that Snyder films. He makes everything look like a graphic novel. On film, he really does. Like everything that he does, there's like that graphic novel-esque to it. You could see it in the trailer for Snyder cut. They made Spider-Man, they made Superman look kind of dark and edgy. Like they did it. I mean, you're right, Perry. They did a good job of propelling the characters and doing. From what I've heard, They've given the characters a lot more room to play. But it's unfortunate. I hope that they decide to do a second installment, because obviously, like, this was supposed to be at least 2 movies, right? Like, initially. So, as far as Joss Whedon goes, people can hate on Joss Whedon. I know that he did like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and stuff like that and whatnot and everything, and that is pretty weird and stupid. But at the same time, he did give us the first Avengers movie, so you got to give him credit for that.
And then it went downhill after that right away.
No, Age of Ultron is still a good movie, man. It is.
I guess
You
yeah.
could see how he was trying to basically sabotage it and with that movie, because out of all 4 Avengers films, that's probably people most say that is the worst Avengers film.
Oh, it is. It's obvious just from watching it. It is. It's totally.
And
But
like,
at the same time,
the things it could have done with it could have been so much better. I mean, fact that they kill off Quicksilver in it, like, right away, it's like, what? Like, you introduce the character finally, and then you kill him off right away? Like, what was that thing?
I think that was actually a rights thing, because
yeah.
So
It was.
and I don't even know why they would have. See, the thing is they could have not even brought him in. Like, originally, they could have just not done Quicksilver and mentioned that he died in the experiments or something, and just changed the characters a little bit,
Then that would have thrown off the comic book canon.
Yeah, but I mean,
they just could have not used him at all. Like, they could have said that he was off doing something else, versus even bringing him into the fold.
But think about it.
Him later on,
he'd be with his sister no matter what. They are brother and sister. You know what I mean? So, like, it makes sense. It made sense for them to go to Hydra together. Like, look, they've changed up their entire backstory already from the comic book anyway.
Right.
The way they got their powers, everything and whatnot is totally different in the comics than like what's going on, what happened in WandaVision and what happened in with Hydra and everything in Avengers: Age of Ultron. But I honestly think maybe I'm just being like biased or whatever, because I love the MCU and I love all these properties basically. But I feel like that over time, people are going to appreciate Age of Ultron more.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad movie. Like, I don't think it's a bad movie by any means. There's definitely he made a worse movie a couple years later, so it's like it could have been a lot worse. And I think a lot of it was just, I think maybe that was at a point where they were still figuring out exactly what direction they wanted to like go with everything, because if you look at like some of the older MCU films, they all have like very different styles, and then now you notice that there's a lot of cohesion between the movie's look, the movie's feel, how they go about storytelling. Like, there's a very now it's a very methodical thing, and I think maybe Age of Ultron was the point where they realized that they really had to like hone in on like their vision, where the other ones before it were more individualized films, so that wasn't so important. But when they all came together, I think it didn't necessarily all like meld together, because that cohesive nature wasn't necessarily fulfilled yet, like as it is
the
now.
Russo brothers. So what do you think, Cyber and Perry? Could the Russo brothers have been the difference that really changed that cohesion?
Oh, most definitely. As soon as they came on and did Captain and the Winter Soldier, that was the start of the MCU, really, if you think about it. I mean, yes, we had John Ferber do the first 2 Iron Mans. We had Kenneth Branagh do the first Thor. We had Joe Johnson do Captain America 1. We had those films. But when the Russo brothers came in and started doing the Captain America films, that's really what brought very much a lot of cohesion to the MCU, because their storytelling and their action eye really brought a lot of great things to those films. And when they did Civil War, they were just continuing. I feel Civil War really was a kind of like the MCU saying sorry for the crappy Avengers Age of Ultron. This is what Age of Ultron should have been. Here's Civil War. to continue the story, and this is what's going to lead into Infinity War and Endgame. So definitely the Russos have brought a greatness to the MCU, and they need to be kept in the MCU for a long time because they really know their stuff.
Imagine if they had done Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, and they're brilliant. Like as even like I watched I started watching Community during the pandemic, the show Community, and
I tried for a minute, but I didn't get very far.
I love it. It's very quirky, and it's very like it's a bizarre show in the sense that it was a primetime show but does not feel like a primetime show. But it was them and Dan Royland who did Rick and Morty, and so it's two very like creative mind, like I guess 3 creative minds working on that show, and then you see how that creativeness and that like understanding of how a show or a group of people have to like all have a story, and you see how strong that is in Community where everybody has a story, and if they don't, it's like made fun of. Like it's very meta in that way, and you see a lot of that not only with Justin Roiland going to Rick and Morty, and you see a ton of like that stuff, but then you see the Russo brothers coming off of that show and going into big blockbusters, and you had that same understanding of how stories have to be told with what they're given. Like they have a very good understanding of like, this is the story we're trying to tell. How do we tell it the best way? And how do we get certain things across in a meaningful way where you learn a lot about people, not just about what they say, but what they do and how they're doing it and how they say things, And I think that was something that got lost in Age of Ultron a little bit, where there was so many characters and they were starting to become more distinct and individualized, and Joss Whedon didn't necessarily direct that kind of individualism as a whole with everybody. But then when you get to Civil War, everybody feels like themselves, and it's this whole thing with everybody together, but everybody still feels individualized and useful,
But you don't think the timing maybe has something to do with that too, though? Now, I'm not trying to pardon Joss Whedon and his directorial abilities. I'm just saying,
sure,
timing standpoint, if you think about it, when the first Avengers came out and Age of Ultron came out, the core 6 Avengers had only been knowing each other and having friendships for a couple of years, really. You know what I mean? By the time Infinity War and Endgame came out, they had been like they'd gotten similar tattoos and everything, and like been, like good friends for years and years. Black Widow's appeared in like 8 or 9 different movies, or 6 or 7 movies or 8 or 9 movies. I mean, she was in Captain America: Civil War. She was in Winter Soldier, which I thought was great. She was great in Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
But
Iron Man 2, yeah.
People don't give enough credit to the Russo brothers that they even delivered the way they did with Infinity War and Endgame. The expectations were so high that, I swear to God, I've told you guys this before. What pumps me up more than anything in the world, the one thing that really gets me excited and gets my blood flowing, is watching trailer reviews of Infinity War on YouTube. Mm-hmm. I just love seeing people's reactions to watching those trailers from Infinity War. I think they were the best trailers ever for any movie. That one trailer where at the end it finishes off with Captain America going up against Thanos, and Thanos has his arms and everything, and Cap fighting him and everything. That was awesome, man.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes in the entire MCU. That's probably top 3 favorite scenes is him holding the gauntlet.
What about the one scene that wasn't actually in Infinity War, but the one from the first trailer where at the end where it showed Hulk and Black Panther and Cap in his black uniform all together?
Yeah.
And you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yep. I remember
that end scene. That was every time you watched that, back then when you first came out, it was like, oh my God.
Yeah. I know, it's the energy, the excitement, it's I have to go back and watch some of those because that would
Yeah,
be fun.
I'm about due for an Infinity War Endgame night here coming up pretty soon. But
Yeah.
to bring things back to the whole Falcon and Winter Soldier episode 3 deal, okay, the Sharon Carter fight scene. I didn't even notice it until today that Sharon Carter was at that club that they first went to in Madripoor, that first bar. And by the way, all those places that they went to in Madripoor are all real in the comic books. Like they're all comic book authentic. And so is the whole Smiling Tiger deal. The Smiling Tiger guy was on the Thunderbolts, I believe, several years back. So he's a real character. But, again, like with Zemo, where do you guys think the direction of Zemo is going to go? Because in the beginning of this, me and Perry talked about how Zemo could be the actual villain of the show and everything and whatnot. But now that we've had an episode with Zemo, I'm really wondering what the MCU was going to want to do with his character. Like how they're going to want to play him out in this series, because right now he seems very sympathetic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I honestly, we can't. That takes me back to me saying earlier how the MCU likes to trick us, likes to keep us in the dark. I think Zemo at some point, I don't know if it's going to be in the next couple episodes or the very final episode. I think by the end of the series, though, we will find out exactly what Zemo's intentions are. And basically to see what exactly, he becomes. I mean, he dons the mask in this episode and makes him more like Zemo, than anything else. It has made him Zemo, since we first saw him in Civil War. And I think putting on that mask is showing kind of the direction he's going in. And a lot of people, I've been hearing a lot of people that are very close to the series that know a lot of people that have talked to people and stuff like that. I've read their comments and stuff like that. I've seen their videos, and they suggest that they think that this is going to the end of this is going to really show the start of the Thunderbolts. They really do think that's what the direction is going in. For the fact that this episode was called The Power Broker, the fact that we saw Zemo wear the mask, and the fact that we hear about Thunderbolt in the past, we've heard about him. And the fact that I feel that there is a loose connection to the Black Widow film for this series, I think that is all inclusive, saying that that's probably the direction that they're going to end up going in. Is that conclusive? Of course not. We don't know exactly because, like I said, the MCU is very tricky how they do things. But who knows what's going to end up with Zemo, because just look at what happened with, a lot of things that has happened in the MCU, from, killing off Cap, basically making him have, decide to go and have his relationship with Peggy, killing off Iron Man, killing off Black Widow, how they did and all this kind of stuff. We just don't know what they're going to do. And so it's kind of their way of kind of keeping us, surprised. And I think that's really fun.
Oh, it definitely is. And I mean, look, as far as, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier goes, obviously there's a lot to come, but the whole thing with the Black Widow film, the connections that were supposed to be there between the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Black Widow, because the Falcon and the Winter Soldier was supposed to be the first show to come out, not WandaVision, they could very easily have just taken some of that stuff out of Black Widow. Just like Perry mentioned, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier is obviously there was at one point an aspect of the show where there was going to be a pandemic type situation, where there was going to be some kind of virus. That's what killed Carly's friend or whatever, or something like that, I think, on the show or on the episode, or was tuberculosis or whatever, something like that. That very well could have been like a virus type situation that she was supposed to die from.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, so I think at that point it makes sense that they could just change Black Widow's film, since it doesn't come out until what?
June.
Yeah.
July.
Oh, July. Sorry. Yeah.
When does the Eternals come out?
November 5th.
That's going to be cool. I can't wait. That's like my spoiler movie right there.
Yeah, because it's funny. I went and saw a movie yesterday at the theaters. And
oh, good for you, Cyber.
Yeah, and the trailer for Black Widow, they had it at the beginning of the movie, and it still says May 7th, even though it got pushed to July 9th now. But still, at the same time, it's like you should update that date because that confuses people. And like I was like watching, and I'm like, it should still be May 7th. God damn it.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, I'm sure Perry, you must have saw that new Black Widow trailer, man. It was great.
Yeah.
Got
And
a good image of Thunderbolt.
Yeah. I got to see it. I went and saw Godzilla versus Kong a couple nights ago.
Oh wow.
And that was pretty good. It was pretty good for what it was. It was good.
I don't like all this competition with HBO Max and everything and whatnot and this whole deal. I don't like all that stuff at all. I just wish the theaters would open up so like stuff could just go to the theaters like it's supposed to, and we wouldn't have to worry about these HBO Max and Disney Plus drops and everything and whatnot.
How are the theaters down in Florida?
The one that's local to me, that's closest to me in Port Charlotte, which is like a 5-minute ride from here, from where I live, it's closed.
Okay.
The one in Sarasota, the bigger, I'm in Sarasota County. The one in Sarasota is open. So if I want, for instance, if my theater stays closed, I'll go to Sarasota to see Black Widow when it comes out. There's no way I'm not going to see Black Widow in theaters. I'm going to see it. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's one thing I was going to mention to you guys earlier was a kind of a question and like an opinion. Do you think it's difficult for Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige to really gain perspective in terms of what kind of reaction they're getting from audiences and stuff like that to this stuff, taking into consideration that we got no MCU content for over a year and a half or whatever, and like all of a sudden now it's back, and these are the first occurrences of the Disney Plus MCU series like this, and so there's a newness to it. Do you think at that point they're still capable of seeing the big picture, like you mentioned earlier, Perry, as far as like learning from their mistakes for the future?
Yeah. I don't think it changes too much. I think if anything, actually, so let me look at it from 2 points. I think because everything is new right now, and we went like a year and a half, almost 2 years without any content, like Marvel content, there is that like, oh my gosh, it's back, and everything that comes on, like that's Marvel is great, like there is like kind of like that excited blindness a little bit, and that could be a factor when they're looking at numbers and they're looking at what people are saying. Like people might not be as critical because they're just happy that it's back, but I think that wears off quicker than people think. And I think with Black Widow, that's going to be the tough sell for Marvel Studios, for them to gauge how they go about telling these stories moving forward, especially when Black Widow is a story that takes place in the past and all that stuff, and whether or not people connect with that because they know how like things play out. But at the same time, they kind of like, if we're having a conversation about it, they had a conversation about it, is how I look at it, so I think they're going to be able to gauge what people think, and I don't think it'll change how they do things too much. The only thing that might change is if something happens and there's another pandemic and everything goes to shit again, like I think we're out of that phase of it, and now they can start kind of getting back on track with everything.
Sure. And what do you think, Cyber? I don't see Falcon and the Winter Soldier so far being the kind of series that's going to promote any characters the way that like WandaVision did with Monica Rambeau. I don't get that same vibe from Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The secondary characters besides Falcon, besides Sam and Bucky, they're kind of underwhelming in a way. They're not like, Sharon Carter was great in episode 3, but you get a feeling, you get a vibe that they're not trying to make things too big with her and everything and whatnot. You know, like I'm not sure how long her character is going to stick around in the MCU.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, like in WandaVision, you know, they really it was the introduction to a character that we hadn't been introduced to. Unfortunately, with the Winter and the Falcon Soldier, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you know, Sharon Carter, we already established who she is. We've already seen her a few times. You know, Bucky with Sam, we've seen them several times. They're already very well established. Zemo, we've seen him before, and, you know, we know about him. I mean, so, like, out of all the characters, I would say, in the series that we've seen so far, the only one I feel seeing any sort of, like, kind of that same feel like with Monica Rambeau would be the Power Broker. And the fact that he's that character is such a huge villain in the MCU, he could be one of those potential type of characters. But I can totally see why you're saying that, because we have so many characters that we've already are so well aware of in this series. So we don't have that same surprise like we do in WandaVision. Because think about it, WandaVision, Vision and Wanda, both of those characters were still very fresh because we only got them in Age of Ultron. And then we only saw them in Civil War and then somewhat in Infinity War. So we didn't get as much airtime like, as say, Sharon Carter, Bucky, and Sam have. So I think that's why we're probably getting that feeling with this series, is simply for that fact that we're just already too well established with those characters. And so they're not giving us that many unestablished characters yet, whereas it's a very slow burn, like Perry was saying. And that's how it is kind of like with the Power Broker in this series. Like, maybe he will end up becoming kind of like that character like Monica Rambeau was for WandaVision. And we'll get that finally, that new take on a new character that we're not familiar with. Because like I said, with Baron, even though we only saw him in one film, it was a very established portion of the film he was in. Like, we saw him majority of that film and him dealing with those characters. So it wasn't like how Wanda was, like, kind of like we got to see her here and there in Civil War. And then we saw her here and there in, you know, Age of Ultron. It wasn't like they were the main stars, whereas in WandaVision they were. So all that, I feel, encompasses why we probably get that feeling with the Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, for sure.
Most definitely.
Yeah, it's tough when you have very established characters already to introduce brand new characters. Like, the way that they're going about it, and it's exactly what you guys are saying, that it doesn't feel like anybody's going to be completely like established and become this huge big thing in the show. You know, it's very grounded in what it's trying to do, you know. Whereas WandaVision, and we talked about it when we did our WandaVision reviews, that it's a setup with Spider-Man and Doctor Strange and the multiverse of madness and all that stuff. So I think we all are, like, after talking about it, that we're all feeling like we're like, okay, episode 4 and has got to be like that next like level of like story and action, and like kind of getting to the point where we're feeling like we're building up. Because it's definitely getting to that point where it's like there's only 6 episodes. You know, WandaVision had 9, right? Mm-hmm. And this one is 3 episodes less, and I feel like WandaVision had more in its first 3 episodes than we got out of Falcon and Winter Soldier in their 3 episodes. So we'll see how it goes moving forward. Like I said, I don't think it's a bad show by any means. I'm having a lot of fun watching it, and I don't mean for like the way that I'm talking about it to come off like I'm like bummed out about it. It's mostly just me being excited to see where it goes, you know, and I just want more, you know.
Oh yeah, I agree. I mean, I agree. As a fan, it's a fun show. I think that one thing that was missing from one element for me that was missing from this episode was Sam as the Falcon. You know, like actually getting to see him as the Falcon again. You know, like that was like one of the great things for me watching episode 1 and 2 was seeing Falcon as Falcon. And you know, honestly, I still believe at the end of the day that Sam's going to get the shield. He's going to be Captain America by the end of the show. I want to believe that. But I could be wrong, of course. You know, again, like Cyber said, like you said, Perry, you never know with Marvel Studios. They could totally change the game on us last minute, and who knows where they could go, But what do you guys think? Do you think that Sam Wilson as Captain America could do solo movies, and they would do well?
I 100% agree they would. I think that the establishment already of Sam, or as Anthony Mackie established in the MCU, he's already a very amazing character. So the fact that him becoming Captain America, like he does in the comic books, the character of the Falcon, I think that a lot of people would enjoy that, especially because, with Chris Evans supposedly not returning as Captain America anytime soon. The fact that we enjoyed Anthony Mackie as the Falcon in Captain America and the Winter Soldier, and kind of their camaraderie, and we saw that in Civil War, we saw that in Infinity War, all the films, and just the establishment and the work that Anthony Mackie put into the character. I feel that he would do very successful in his own solo films. Most definitely, I think people would go see that.
Oh yeah, most definitely. What do you think, Perry?
Yeah, I agree. I think because they're not trying to pull somebody out of nowhere and try to become Captain America and try to throw it at people and say, hey, this is the new Captain America. You've never seen him in a movie before. They're not going to try to do that with a movie. So if they took the Sam Wilson Captain America and built it up like that, and I think he would obviously do a great job, and he's already been in the movies, so it's not like he's brand new to how Marvel operates or how the movies operate. And I think it would be a very important move into showcasing where these characters are going to move forward for the future, because just like comic books, people get characters get replaced as different for other characters, and when somebody dies and they had their partner for years, that partner becomes that main guy, so I think if they decided to do that, it'd be very successful and also very important in showing people that that's how things are going to be. If somebody dies on screen, we're not just going to bring them back just to call them Captain America again or the Iron Man again or whatever. They're somebody else is going to take the mantle, and that's how it's going to work. And I think that'll be important with understanding that Captain America isn't a single person. It's an ideal, and it's an attitude. It's something to live. It means more than just one person, and that idea. It's the same thing with how DC does in the comics with Batman. Batman is not a man. He's an idea, he's a symbol, just like Captain America is a symbol for something more, and I think that notion could do them really well with putting Sam Wilson as Captain America, and obviously Anthony Mackie would do a fantastic job just because Anthony Mackie is fantastic. But yeah, I think it would be a lot of fun and really successful.
Well, I mean, there's open slots in Phase 5 for films, so I mean, who knows what could happen? I mean, but I'll tell you what. You guys tell me what you think. With Isaiah Bradley's story, and then on top of that, Zemo's attitude and the things he says about superheroes, I don't see Sam even considering taking the super soldier serum at this point. I don't see it happening.
Yeah, it seems unlikely that he'll take it voluntarily. It seems like if he gets it, it'll be forced upon him for whatever reason. But yeah, it doesn't seem like he's going to be in the mindset to want to take it. But who knows?
Well, maybe like he said in his speech in the beginning, maybe times are different and we need a different kind of hero now. We need a different style of hero, a different type of hero than Steve Rogers, Captain America. Yeah. I think that it's honestly, you can't think of the whole cultural angle of Black Panther and how successful that was because of the cultural angle. And I think that Sam Wilson would do the same thing for Captain America. He would elevate the Captain America stature as a black actor playing Captain America, being Captain America,
Yeah.
I think it would be like the biggest. I mean, I'm not into this woke stuff, but it would be really culturally like a big deal if that actually happened.
Yeah. And I think the idea of like if you want to like break it down as like a cultural thing, I think it would mean a lot for a lot of young people to see like a black actor, a black character being Captain like America, like yeah, and for him to be like the symbol for like America as a Marvel character, I think that would be a really cool and important thing for not only like right now, but just setting a tone for like the future, and that it doesn't matter, like it comes down to who's like if you're worthy of that rank, it doesn't matter of like what skin color you have and all that stuff. And I think it would just set a precedent that just because like a character is notoriously white in the comics or something, that or like a lot of the main characters in the MCU have been predominantly white on a major scale, that like these main characters should also be representative of the rest of the like the community that they have fans of,
Yeah, and it connects to the comic books too, of course, because Sam has
Right.
been Captain America. So like that, it ties into the canon and everything too.
Yep.
I don't, what do you think, Cyber? I don't want to overdo the whole racial angle or anything like that, but I just have a feeling that, like Perry said, I think that it would really be maybe even uniting to have Wilson play Captain America, because let's be honest here, as well as I do, Cyber, that film and TV really affects culture.
Mm-hmm. Oh, very much so. I mean, look at what Black Panther did for the African American community. Look at, what when Monica Rambeau came in the picture, whenever a new type of character is introduced that's a different ethnicity, it's always a big deal to that community. And so to not go too far and deep into it, but basically give it a thing like if they do make, the next Captain America officially Sam, that would be a huge impact to the African American community. And that would be a huge success, and that would be very culturally good to basically what's going on in the world today. Simple fact, because I don't know if anybody else has seen it, but a lot of people they're talking about the Asian hate right now. So I mean that alone, so that's why there's a lot of Asian themed films being made with mostly Asian cast. It's to kind of help show that all ethnicities are good. All ethnicities should be represented in however fashion they want to be, and that's basically what I feel would happen if Sam becomes Captain America, because he'll be representing America as a African American. So yeah, definitely that would be a culturally good thing.
Oh, there's no question it would have an effect. It would be powerful. It would be a powerful symbol. It really would be. Because these movies transcend. They do. They transcend. And really, I feel like what I love about the idea of Sam Wilson as Captain America is that he's black, but kids would still be buying the same Captain America t-shirts they bought with Steve Rogers was Captain America, with the shield on the front, you know what I mean, or like on the back or whatever, and you wouldn't see Sam's face on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not how Captain America t-shirts look. I've got like 4 or 5 of them. I mean, like, there's only one of them I think where you actually see like Steve Rogers Captain America on it. The rest of it's just the shield. So like, in a way, being Captain America transcends race, if you think about it, because it's an idea, it's a concept,
right? Yeah,
which Bucky obviously understands and is trying to press onto Sam and get him to grasp. Like you heard what Bucky said in episode 3, I'll take the shield.
Yeah, I'll take the shield before you throw it away. Yeah, that's yeah.
All right, so what do you guys think? Perry, you about ready to cut it out?
Yeah. I think we've had a really good discussion about how we feel about the show moving forward, and so I think we had a really productive talk about like where we think the episodes are going and how we think of the last 3 episodes and all that discussion. But I hope everybody that gets a chance to watch this, whether it's on YouTube or they're watching it live or they get to watch it however
Facebook.
on Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah.
We appreciate you guys checking it out. Make sure you keep track of what we're doing on the MCU Bleeding Edge. And we'll see you guys next week. You guys can check out these two fellas, Cyber and Jeff. Wait. Cyber and Jeff. There we go. Yeah, it's opposite on my camera. Yeah, it's opposite on my camera. So my right hand is like on the, yeah.
Yep, I know.
Yeah. So you can find them on Rizzle. I'm going to be jumping on as Jeff is showing on the screen right now. Perry will get his ass on there at some point. He is right. I will be on there in probably a few weeks once my schedule clears up with classes and stuff. But thank you guys so much for watching the MCU's Bleeding Edge of review number 3 or review of episode 3 of Falcon and Winter Soldier. We'll see you guys next week.
Peace out.
Peace out.